This year, South Africa's Deputy Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, Bernice Swarts, officially launched the presidential 1 Billion Trees program at the South African National Biodiversity Institute's Pretoria National Botanical Garden, calling on all citizens in the country to join a nationwide effort to plant trees and build a greener, healthier country. The presidential 1 Billion Trees program seeks to mobilise all sectors of society, government, business, labour, civil society, faith-based organisations, traditional leaders, diplomatic missions, youth formations and communities to plant trees as part of a collective response to climate change. And to tell us more about this initiative, Deputy Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Bernice Swarts, joins us now in studio. Deputy Minister, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon to you, Lulu, and good afternoon to our Channel Africa listeners.
Now, Deputy Minister, you know, we were having a conversation about how this all started and where the ideas came from. And obviously, sometimes we get ideas from other places, other people, other countries. You touched on Saudi Arabia. You spoke about India and the different technologies that is used by these different countries. Now, tell us more about the presidential 1 Billion Trees program. What does it seek to achieve?
This program seeks to achieve a dream of the president, which 5 years ago the president had requested the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment that he wishes that they implement and plant 10 million trees at 2 million trees per year. So when I arrived at the department, I saw that it's practically impossible to do it with government funds and the way we budget our funds. And I said, let us think out of the box to the team. Let everybody participate in this. And let us look at our department. We are the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, and climate change and its impact on the environment is real. We have had real floods in KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, Eastern Cape. So we know the effects of climate change, and we can tell real stories and of tragedies that have taken place in our country in the different provinces. So I said to them, this is an issue of everybody's business. So we started with government employees when we started last year. We first launched it in our department, then we took it to the rest of the government employees in government to say, can we each donate a tree? And then we said, who else must we go to? We must go to industry. We must go to Eskom, to Cecil. We must go to the mining industry. We must go to the big contractors. We then said, let us go to the universities and speak to university students and speak to lecturers. We then said, let us go to Danosa. Let us go speak to our nurses. We then said, let's go speak to our doctors. And I said to them, we need to speak to everybody. Every South African must come on board, donate a tree. And we said, because it's our first time we're doing it and we're doing it without government funds, let us give ourselves a target of 1 million trees in one day. And last year we successfully planted 1.3 million trees in one day. We had given each and every province a target of 115,000 trees. That's how we divided the million trees. And each province had a main event. At the main event, we had provinces and municipalities participating. We had premiers of provinces participating, DGs participating, because what we then said is that because it's Heritage Day, who is the custodian of Heritage Day? It's the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. So we then partnered with them. And we said that when the president plants his tree at 10 o'clock or whatever time, the whole country will plant at the same time. So how do we do this? We have decided that we need to plant in safe spaces. And our safe spaces are primary schools, high schools, early learning development centers, clinics, hospitals, correctional services centers, and any area which a municipality or a provincial government feels is a safe space. But we then said we will only sanction it as the department, because ours is that all the trees we planted last year, monitoring them, we are tracking them, making sure that the trees are still there, making sure that the trees are healthy and alive. So we know that at early learning development centers, there are people every day. In the schools, there are people every day. And in the schools, what we have done, we have actually set up competitions. So the learners, either than the general workers who are looking after the schools and the yards, it is the learners are competing in looking after the trees, because we have got competitions running from them. We also have what we call eco villages, where we go and set up gardens, vegetable gardens in the schools. So we incorporate that with the trees because we are running competitions. We have now gone a step further. Our air quality branch is also running competitions in the schools, because trees also have a bearing on the air quality that we have in South Africa and as a country as a whole. So we this year then said that because the presidential program is an ongoing program, but last year people would have heard us talking about the 10 million trees.
Yes.
So now we are calling it 1 billion trees, because the president said that he's no longer talking about 10 million trees. He wants 1 billion trees in South Africa. So we relaunched the program 2 months ago, relaunching the change of name. So we went again back to where we initially launched our 10 million trees, which is at the South African National Institute of Biodiversity at our Botanical Gardens in Pretoria. And we relaunched the change of the name to 1 billion trees, so that people understand that last year we were saying it's the 10 million trees.
Yes.
Why are we now calling it the 1 billion trees? It's because the president has requested us that he wants 1 billion trees now. So we said, okay, let us go with the name change now to 1 billion trees. And this year on the 24th of September, our target is 10 million trees in one day. We have started mobilizing trees again. And we are calling all South Africans, we are calling people who are not in the country, because even if you are not in South Africa, if you go onto our website, which is www.dfofe.gov.za, you will see the link where it talks about this program, which is the 1 billion trees. It will take you to the website that actually allows you to see a catalog that is there. It allows you to buy a tree online, and we collect the tree. Where do we keep the trees? We are still using all the botanical gardens in the country as our tree banks. So we are keeping the trees up until September. And then on the 23rd, we start preparing how the trees will be delivered on the 24th. So by then, we would already have a map.
All right. And how much are the trees, Deputy Minister?
So it depends on the farmers that we negotiate with.
So
with our employees last year, we had negotiated, because with the employees, there's the union. So they want to know what we're doing with their employees in donating trees. So we had farmers who had agreed that because we're buying in bulk from them, they were giving each tree for 50 Rand. So it also depends. Some people will donate 8,000 trees at the same time, and we will negotiate with the suppliers to say, because we are buying in bulk, can you give us at this price? But the trees vary from your 60 Rand, 80 Rand, 100 and something. It also depends what type of a tree an individual wants to donate, because the president made a call when we initiated this program that 60% of the trees should be fruit trees, because it must talk to the food security issue. Because our people in the rural areas, even our people in the townships, when they've got 50 Rand or 20 Rand in their hands, they're not going to think apples and grapes. They will think bread, they will think electricity. So we are also encouraging what we call communal fruit gardens, especially in the deep rural areas where we are working together with our traditional leaders, that we want these communal fruit gardens to be put up so that when harvesting time comes, the whole community can benefit from the fruit trees. And I can say that safely and confidently say I'm excited that there are trees that we planted last year and they are already bearing fruits. And we are already speaking to the communities that we are counting the months with them, that where before the 24th of September, there is an area where we are going to go and harvest fruit together with them, and it's from trees that we planted last year. And it makes us very happy, because it shows that when you work together with people and they understand what you are trying to do. And for us, the first step is that all South Africans and everyone must understand that we get our oxygen that we breathe from the trees. And that is why we came up with a slogan that my tree, my oxygen, plant yours today. And we translated it into the 12 official languages, including sign language, in the country, so that everybody could understand in their own language what is my tree, my oxygen plant, yours today.
Okay.
So we are making a clarion call this year again, that when people celebrate Heritage Day on the 24th of September, all of us must celebrate Heritage Day by planting of trees. And we are even encouraging people to say they must put up the names. So if you and your 2 kids, your 3 kids plant 4 trees, you must put names on it, so that you also compete at home that whose tree is
growing the fastest.
And we put names on it. So ours is to really encourage everyone, but that everybody must understand that the trees we plant today, we might not sit under the shade of it, but the generations that are going to come after us, the first most important thing is that they must find an environment that is intact.
Yes.
They must find trees that they can sit under the shade of, and that so that they can also then make sure they look after the environment, because we know that the impacts we are suffering today is because of not all of us collectively looking after the environment, when we were warned years ago that we need to look after the ozone layer. I mean, I've got people till today who says that, can you show us the ozone layer? Knowing that we can't show it, but
Yes.
People must just understand that the effects of not looking after the environment in totality is going to have very great impacts. But I'm very happy that we are on this program, and that ours is to encourage everyone that they must participate in the planting of trees, but most importantly is not only the planting, is looking after the trees.
The maintenance. I was going to ask about that, because that's very key.
The maintenance of the trees is what is key. And we have made sure that through our scientists at the South African Institute of Biodiversity, we are not just planting any trees, we are planting trees that will survive in a province. So we are making sure that we are planting trees in the Free State, that it's going to survive, because the scientists are giving us advice that this tree can still survive here. In other areas, they are telling us that if you plant this tree here,
It will survive.
climate change and its impact has had a bearing on this type of tree, it will not grow anymore in this province. I'll give you an example. There are trees that are no longer growing in KwaZulu-Natal. So we are planting them at our botanical gardens in Thohoyandou, in the Limpopo province in Venda.
Yes.
And then once it has grown, then we are taking it back to KwaZulu-Natal, and we are transplanting it back so that it survives, because if you plant it in KwaZulu-Natal, it doesn't grow. But if you plant it in Limpopo, then you transport it and go and transplant it, then it is growing. In Mpumalanga, you don't have lychee trees growing like they used to, because of climate change. So we don't put it on our list, because that's how far we have gone in terms of what the scientists to say which tree will survive here, which won't. So we don't just look at whether which tree is normally grown, like you go to Limpopo and say we'll just grow oranges and avocados, and we'll grow mangoes, and we'll grow something else. But the scientists do tell us that in this part of Limpopo, don't grow this tree anymore. In this part, you can grow it. So we have gone that step, so that we don't plant trees that we will not show after 20 years that we planted trees here. And then 40% of the trees are indigenous trees. Now, out of these indigenous trees, we've got medicinal trees. For medicinal use, that is where our relationship with the traditional leaders even goes deeper, because when we go and we talk to people in the rural areas, our scientists will say, this tree does this and this. If you plant it here, you can use it for flu. This one, you can use it for a stomach bug. And then the people in the rural areas tell us, no, you can also use it for this and this and that. So the exchange of traditional knowledge also becomes very important between ourselves and the communities, and especially in the rural areas, because we've got older people there who are not scientists, but who have got different names for the trees, and have got deep knowledge in terms of the use of the trees. But it also assists us, because at the same time we are also teaching our traditional healers that they should not break down a whole tree and cut down a whole tree when they only need the leaves. In other instances, even when they need the roots, we are teaching them how to go about it rather than killing a whole tree, because it brings me to the point that we say, if after the architects and after the planning and after municipalities have granted somebody the right to build an estate, and after doing everything that there is in the book, they are saying that there's nothing we can do, we have to cut the tree. We say that people must first plant 20 trees before they cut one tree. If they are going to cut 2 trees, they must replace it with 40 trees. So, but this must be proof that they've done everything to show that they can't avoid cutting the tree. But ours is to say we don't want anybody to cut any tree at all, at whichever cost. And that is why when we're working with people around the air quality, we are saying to them that our air quality must be the right type of air quality so that it allows our trees to breathe. Because I'm always making a joke that the way people are polluting, it's even suffocating our trees.
Deputy Minister, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update, and hopefully we'll be able to speak to you on the 24th of September and find out exactly where you are and where you're going to be harvesting the fruits of the labor from last year's trees. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. And I'm sure with all our colleagues, they're going to take up that call, the clarion call for each and every one of us to buy a tree.
Thank you very much, Lulu, and I'm looking forward to everyone buying a tree.